our Los Angeles studio. This is FanDuel's XFL preview show. I'm your host, Lisa Kearney. You know these guys. Our betting experts, Dave Weaver, Mark Rogandino. They're psyched because it is finally time to dig in on this fast-paced, all-new, exciting brand of football. Over the next hour, we're breaking down each team for you, bringing you daily fantasy tips and best bets for each matchup. And we will hear from the biggest names in the XFL game, including the commissioner himself. We're also going to hear from reporters with inside access to each team. But first, got to get to the rest of our team. In here, our reporter Danny Kleppinger in house with us in LA, and our analytics expert Ed Egros joining us from Dallas, where the Renegades are the favorites to finish first in the league. Much more ahead on that and everything you need to know as we kick off the 2020 XFL season. So let's do this, guys. Get right to it. Which team is your team? There are 8 XFL teams, and it is a sprint to the finish. Each team will play 10 games in 10 weeks, 79 total days to decide your XFL champion. We've got 2 4-team divisions. You're seeing them here, the East and West. In the East, you've got the Guardians in New York, the DC Defenders, the Tampa Bay Vipers, and the Battlehawks bringing professional football back to St. Louis. And then you look over to the West. 2 teams repping the Lone Star State there, the Renegades in Dallas, the Roughnecks in Houston, as well as the Los Angeles Wildcats and the Seattle Dragons, led by former Seahawks quarterback Jim Zorn, the Legends. All right, all new teams in this all-new league with its own unique set of rules that highlight fast-paced play, up-tempo, high-scoring games. We're going to bring those rules to you in depth in just a moment. But first, we're bringing in the man who built this league from the ground up. He said he's put in more than 2 years to get to this point. He put all these new rules in place. Joining me now, the commissioner of the XFL, Oliver Luck. Commissioner, we're excited to be kicking things off this weekend. Appreciate your time here with us today. And Commissioner, we're going to get right into it. Lots to talk about here. Week 1 is officially here. When you look at where the league is right now, Commissioner, what are you most proud of throughout this preparation process?
We're most proud of being able to have built this league, really designed, as you said, for this up-tempo, fast-paced game, and getting the best coaches that were possibly available to us, guys like Bob Stoops and June Jones and Winston Moss, really football men, getting the best players that were available to us across the board, all 8 of our teams. I think there's a lot of parity in this league, and we just can't wait to get started. So, you know, that first kickoff is going to be a very special moment for a lot of folks who really, as you mentioned, for the past 2 years have worked on building this league.
How did you settle on this specific set of rules to define the type of play that we are going to see here in the XFL this season?
So in our mind, fans come first. So when I started this job, we really began to talk to fans through focus groups, through market research. We talked to literally thousands of football fans, and we asked them, you know, what do you want to see? If you were king for a day, emperor for a day, and could change things, what would you like to see? And the response that came back was, I guess, unexpected. They said, listen, we love professional football. It's a great sport. It's America's sport. But there are a few things we'd like to change. More action, less idle time.
The other thing that I thought was interesting that you pointed out in interviews that I watched, the multiple PAT options rule. I love this. It is super creative. You call this your favorite diversion from the norm. How do you see this changing the game?
I think it's awesome because it's all about strategies. So a touchdown, you score a touchdown in the XFL, it's worth 6 points. We're familiar with that. And then you, as a head coach, have the option, a 1-point play, a 2-point play, and a 3-point play. That can change the dynamic of a game.
Well, Commissioner, it is a 79-day sprint from Week 1 kickoff to Championship Sunday there on April 26th. We're excited to see it all unfold. Commissioner Luck, congratulations on kicking off this new XFL this weekend. Enjoy the game, and thanks so much for your time and joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And some great information from the commissioner. They're clearly excited for the start of the XFL season. And hey, so are we. Week 1 is here, you guys. The first kickoff of the weekend. We're going to dig into these matchups right now. We got 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Your social plans are set. You're welcome, everybody. The first kickoff here, the Seattle Dragons on the road at the DC Defenders, 2 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. Then the LA Wildcats are in Houston to take on the Roughnecks. That's 5 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. 2 more kickoffs on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, MetLife Stadium. The New York Guardians hosting the Tampa Bay Vipers. That game also on Fox. The final kickoff of the weekend here in Week 1, the St. Louis Battlehawks and Dallas Renegades, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. All right, we're previewing all of these matchups throughout this show, but first, we've got to break down the rules that highlight this new league. Danny's going to explain the biggest rule changes that are unique to this league here, starting with no more extra points. Danny, I love it. Oliver Luck calls this his favorite diversion from the norm. You heard him talking about it. Take us a little bit more in detail here about this rule.
Yeah, the commissioner definitely teased it, but let me dive into it a little bit more here. The scoring team has 3 different extra point options after a touchdown, and none of them involve a kicker. The team can run a play from the 2-yard line. If they convert, they will get 1 point. They could also choose to run a play from the 5-yard line. If they do that, they get 2 points, or the 10-yard line for 3 points. The scoring team gets just 1 chance to convert their extra play. If they don't make it, they don't get anything. But here's where it gets even more exciting. If the defense gets a turnover and runs it down the field for a score, they will get those extra points. No lead is ever safe in the XFL. There is always a chance for a comeback.
No doubt, Danny. Thank you. And guys, no more extra points. Instead, you've got 1, 2, and 3-point conversions, allowing for a wild amount of creativity, right? 9-point plays available here. What kind of an impact do you guys think this will have on the games? That's the question here. Let's get everybody in here for this conversation. Ed, this becomes a numbers game here. We're going to start with you. That is your jam. What's your take on this new rule?
Well, Lisa, when you analyze NFL football and look at the touchdown rates based upon these distances, you do a little math, and the expected value actually says to go for 2 most frequently. You have to be careful with the data because not everyone has gone for a touchdown based upon those distances. And, of course, you have to be careful as well because defenses can score the same number of points if they return it the other way. Still, though, to maximize points, I say go for 2 most often.
Awesome. He had some really good points, you guys. 1, 2, or 3. It's got players and coaches and everybody sitting there going like, okay, we're not out of it. If it's an 18-point game, that's two plays.
Lisa, I think that's a great spot to start. Because say it's a 17-point game, you're in the final 5 minutes of the game. Well, then all of a sudden, normally in the NFL, it would be a 3-possession game, right? But the fact is here, you can turn it into a 2-possession game. You think about when the NFL moved the extra point back, you started to see teams think about going for 2 more often than we really had seen historically. And so I think that is also part of the thinking here is now you can go for not just 1, 2, but also 3 points. And Dave, one thing I think about is sometimes when you do move it back to that 10-yard line to go for that 3-point play, some teams that love the passing game will want more room to operate. They'll prefer going for that opportunity because then even if you don't get it, you have the opportunity to make those points up later by going for 2 or 3 again.
Remember, a pick and go from the 10 would be 3 points for the other team. And let's talk betting because that's what I like to do. From a betting standpoint, remember in the NFL, if you're plus 7.5 as a gambler, you're down 14. You're looking for a backdoor touchdown to cut it from 14 to 7. In the XFL, if you're getting 9.5 points, you're not dead. If you're down 18 points, you get a touchdown and a 3. Suddenly your 9.5-point underdog is now covering when they're down 9. So the 9.5 is kind of the new 7.5 if you're looking for that backdoor cover.
Awesome point, Dave. And we're going to get more into that as the show goes on. Let's send it, though, right back over to Danny for another exciting gameplay innovation here. We've got the double forward pass. So say goodbye to risky laterals. Thank you. Right, Danny?
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely going to see some creativity with this next rule. The 2 forward passes are available on any given play as long as the first pass doesn't cross the line of scrimmage. Sure, we see some fun plays in the NFL that have multiple passes, but in the NFL, that first pass has to be a lateral pass. Not here in the XFL. The first pass can be forward, just not across the line of scrimmage. So let's break open that playground playbook, shall we? The double forward pass will definitely be a fun rule.
Thank you, Danny. Yes, absolutely. An important note here as well. Both passes must originate behind the line of scrimmage. So as you're watching your games, you're going like, wait a second, just got to look for that. We already see a lot of quarterbacks out of the shotgun, right? Guys, let's talk about how you guys think this double forward pass is going to affect this game and what benefits we might see with these offenses.
Just seeing those X's and O's right there got my mind really racing, because if you are, on the outside, you're a wide receiver right on the line of scrimmage, and you see that the cornerback is playing, 6-7 yards off, maybe these offensive coordinators will call just a quick out. Take one step back. Make sure you're not past the line of scrimmage. Quick out to the wide receiver, and he can bomb it right back down the field. It's just something, until you kind of see those X's and O's moving, you don't really imagine the plays that are going to happen. We're going to see some crazy things.
And those are just two of the biggest innovative rule changes the XFL has in place. We're breaking down and analyzing the other massive departures from the NFL and college game that will keep these games up-tempo and energized. That's coming up in about 20 minutes. But right now, y'all, it is game time. Let's kick things off, and for that, we head to our nation's capital. The first game of the XFL slate coming out of Saturday. The DC Defenders hosting the Seattle Dragons. Kickoff set for 2 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. So let's take a closer look at some of the Dragons' key components here, and starting with their head coach, Jim Zorn. No stranger to Seattle. Played quarterback for the Seahawks for 8 seasons. He was the team's quarterbacks coach for 7 seasons. And speaking of QBs, the Dragons have a pair of quality signal callers here. Brandon Silvers threw for more than 10,000 yards in his 4 years at Troy University. He'll be the team starter. BJ Daniels, who backed up Russell Wilson for 3 seasons in Seattle. What a mentor to have there, right? He'll be backing up Silvers. And in fact, the Dragons drafted 9 former Seahawks, including wide receiver Keenan Reynolds and Kason Williams, and they currently lead the league in overall ticket sales. By the way, projecting for their home opener, more than 20,000 people to show up there in Seattle for that Week 2 game there. But we're taking a closer look here at some of the key personnel now for the Dragons' Week 1 opponent, the DC Defenders. Got to get to the other side as well. Cardale Jones led Ohio State to a national championship in 2015, was drafted by the Bills, spent time with the Chargers and Seahawks as well. He'll be handing out the ball off to Jarrell Presley, who rushed for nearly 3,000 yards at New Mexico, and former San Diego State superstar Donnell Pumphrey as well, who left college as the NCAA's all-time leading rusher. Defenders are coached by Pep Hamilton, who has a lot of NFL coaching experience, including his time as OC of the Colts, where his quarterback was XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck's son, Andrew. And with more on the Defenders, let's get to our first beat reporter here, the XFL beat reporter covering this team, Connor Folk of XFL News Hub.
Thanks, Lisa. The DC Defenders are one of the most stacked teams in the XFL, stacked with NFL talent across their entire roster. It all starts with Cardale Jones at quarterback. At running back, they are equally as strong with Donnell Pumphrey, NCAA's all-time rushing leader and 4th-round NFL draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. Wide receivers are strong with a great mix of speed and great height. Solid offensive line and a defense that you should have confidence in, led by former NFL first-round pick Matt Elam. The DC Defenders are primed to make it deep in the XFL playoffs. Bet on the Defenders.
Bet on the Defenders. A lot of people are. Thanks, Connor. All right. These teams have seen each other before. Preseason meeting. A lot throwing a lot out there, but a lot they're pulling back on as well, knowing that they're about to meet this week. The Defenders beat the Dragons 21-16 in that one. Cardale Jones started. He played the first half, looked pretty sharp, and DC rallied late to win the game in the 4th quarter. Just after that, you guys, Cardale Jones, he tweeted, "Gotta get in some hot yoga and some cryo."
I like
right?
that.
As soon as he gets home. This is grown man football, you guys. We're going to break this one down. Dave, which side are you taking here in this matchup?
It's interesting that you brought up a tweet, because he is clearly the most popular player in the league. 1.6 million Twitter followers. He's got a huge following, and for good reason. This team is going to be very good. On the flip side, Seattle's predicted to finish last in this league. So you have one of the best teams going against one of the worst teams. DC seems like pretty much a slam dunk in this spot.
Yeah, Dave, I look at this matchup here in this one, and clearly DC is the better team on paper between these two teams. I'll talk a little bit about Seattle in a moment. And it starts with Cardale Jones. I mean, the guy was a superstar in college. Hasn't necessarily panned out once he got into the professional rankings. But I think that's one of the big things we are going to talk about in this league, is guys who didn't pan out because for one reason or another didn't get their shot maybe in the NFL, and now this is their shot here in the XFL. So I look at Cardale Jones, his ability to not just throw the football with a really strong arm, but his ability also to escape pressure and get outside the pocket. And then, Lisa, you mentioned the two running backs that they have there with Presley and Pumphrey. They might call them P&P. I don't know. We'll see what they can put up throughout the course of a season, especially Pumphrey.
I think they're accepting nicknames right now.
The guy,
so
yeah, right.
Out there.
The guy who put up, I think, is it 6,400 plus yards in his rushing career. San Diego State alum, though, by the way, right here. I think that that's going to be a 1-2 punch for them to look to. And then when you add Jones into the mix, that's a lot of talent on a team that I think will be one of the favorites as well.
How about press and pump? Weight room.
You like that?
Yeah.
Well,
since I know a lot about weightlifting.
We'll float that to the guys. All right, we talked a lot about Cardale Jones. Got to get to more on Cardale Jones here. He's got nearly, Dave talked about him, his Twitter following,
amazing.
His social media collectively nearly 2 million. He's not only one of the most familiar players in the XFL, maybe also one of the best as well. Let's get to Ed now. Ed, what more can you tell us about the former Ohio State quarterback and the impact he is likely to have in this league?
Well, what some may have forgotten about his meteoric rise from third stringer to champion is he largely sat for 2 seasons at Ohio State, playing only 39 snaps his redshirt freshman season. When he started that Big Ten championship game, though, Jones finished third among all gunslingers that week in total quarterback rating at 92.1. During bowl season, Jones ranked 32nd among all quarterbacks and a win over Alabama with a QBR of 71.5. He followed that up with the 33rd ranked performance against Oregon at 70.7. For perspective, his 32nd and 33rd rankings were out of 50 gunslingers. Now, Cardale Jones didn't play enough the following season to qualify for a total QBR ranking, but he did account for 10 total touchdowns starting in 7 games. He's been bouncing around among several teams, but his new home in D.C., well, that could be just what he needs to recreate that magic of Ohio State.
Today is a work day, and we're going to put in some work. I'll put it all in today. Best group in the field, hands down. Gotta get it. Don't send them to the wolves like that. We don't fight. We devour this. Let's get it. Let's get it. Wildcats on 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wildcats.
Oh, yes. Today is a work day. We're going to put in the work. Head coach Winston Moss and his Los Angeles Wildcats ready for their season opener against the Houston Roughnecks. Kickoff 5 p.m. Eastern time from the Cage, home of the Roughnecks on the campus of the University of Houston. This game is on Fox, and football fans will recognize the Wildcats starting quarterback. Josh Johnson played for 13 NFL teams over his 12-year NFL career, including 3 starts for the Redskins in 2018. Johnson will be throwing the ball to Nelson Spruce, the Colorado grad who recently saw some success in the short-lived AAF. In the backfield for the Wildcats, Elijah Hood averaged nearly 5 yards per carry in his 10 NFL preseason games. But it's on the defensive side of the ball where the Wildcats may find most of their success. The head coach there, Winston Moss, defensive-minded coach, spent 13 seasons with the Packers, winning a Super Bowl with the team in 2011 when he served as assistant head coach to Mike McCarthy. For more on these Wildcats, let's send it over to Mark Perry of XFL News Hub.
With a veteran offensive coordinator like Norm Chow and a veteran quarterback like Josh Johnson, who's been around the NFL for quite some time, with head coach Winston Moss, who is more of a defensive-minded guy, has one of the more balanced teams in the XFL, and definitely see the LA Wildcats making a push in the playoffs for the 2020 season.
All right, that was Mark Perry of XFL News Hub. Thank you, Mark. Let's get to the other side now and take a look at the Wildcats' opponent in the second half of Saturday's doubleheader, the Houston Roughnecks. Houston is led by a coaching legend, absolute coaching legend, in June Jones, former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, as well as University of Hawaii and SMU. Well known for his run-and-shoot offense, right, which puts his Hawaii teams in the NCAA record books. Good news for Houston quarterback, right? Philip Walker and Connor Cook. Walker was a starter at Temple before spending 3 seasons in the NFL with the Colts. As for Cook, he was a Michigan State standout who spent 4 seasons in the NFL, most recently with the Lions. Now, while Walker will most likely get the start for the Roughnecks, Cook could get some time as well as the Roughnecks' first selection in the recent XFL draft. Again, this game is Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. And guys, let's break this one down. Ed, coming right back to you. You are in Dallas. Starting with you, Ed, what do the numbers show on this matchup?
Well, first off, as an SMU grad, I should know a lot about June Jones, right? The run and shoot is really a receiver-led offense where pre-snap motion is used where receiver is looking for a mismatch prior to the start of the play. Sammy Coates will be key for Houston. He's one of the reasons why perhaps we should be talking about him as an MVP favorite. But as for LA, I got to believe the Wildcats knew what they were doing, trading away Luis Perez so the veteran Josh Johnson can take over. And with Norm Chow as his offensive coordinator, I love the Cats here.
Awesome. That's what I was thinking when I was looking at that matchup, that coaching matchup. That's what I was looking to see, Cottrell and Chow. What do you guys think about this matchup?
I think, Lisa, when you look at this is probably the marquee matchup of the weekend. And I say that because this is going to be a display of what we will see all season long from the XFL. And to be honest, I expect a lot of points in this one. So when you get a chance maybe to take a look at that game total, that might be an area you might want to look at the over. But for me, I actually like Houston in this spot, not only because they're playing at home. The mention of Sammy Coates at the wide receiver position is one guy, but what about Andre Williams at the running back spot? He's got some NFL experience. I think he's going to be able to carry the load as far as rushing the football. A lot of talent there. Josh Johnson didn't see a ton of time for Los Angeles in the preseason, so for me, that might be a little bit of a concern.
And as a Steeler fan, I'm well aware of what Sammy Coates can do. The Steelers drafted him back in 2015. In his second year, he had a 2-touchdown game against the Jets, catching bombs from Ben Roethlisberger, 139 yards, and he got hurt, and he really never got back on track. Here's his chance to run some really deep routes. I think when you look at offensive coordinator Chris Miller and June Jones, these guys are going to come up with some plays to get him the ball down the field. I like Houston a lot. This could be one of the bigger upsets of the weekend.
Dave, I think one other thing to add into the mix here is the fact that June Jones has had success for better part of more than 2 decades wherever he has been. When he was in the CFL, he's been able to lead his team to Grey Cup titles. He was really good in college rankings, as you detailed. So this is a guy who knows how to get it done, and he knows what offensive style he's going to implement. So I would assume he picked the players to slot right into those. You're going to see 4 receiver sets, 5 receiver sets, 3 receivers with a lone back next to the quarterback. A lot of different sets probably I expect for the Roughnecks.
June Jones, a guy that's been around a very long time. I got to get to Danny and talk about another guy that's been around for quite a while, Josh Johnson. May have more NFL experience than any other player in the XFL here. 13 NFL teams in 12 NFL seasons. Danny, he did not play in LA's preseason game, but we can look at his 33 NFL games in that span to give us an idea of his XFL prospects. What can we expect from Josh Johnson?
Well, he was most recently on the Washington Redskins in the 2018 season. He started 8 NFL games in his career. He was 1-7 as a starter. However, he was on teams with losing records. But that one victory was a big one against a tough Jacksonville defense where he had no turnovers, threw for a touchdown, and ran for 49 yards on 9 carries. And his QB rating in that game was 93.9. And then how about this? Throughout his time in the NFL, he excelled when he was given good field position. He had a QB rating of 84.1 when his team's starting field position was outside their own 20. And given the XFL rules regarding punts and kickoffs, it's likely he's going to have some good field position to work with.
Awesome, Danny. Thank you. Great perspective there. Now we're going to switch from all those players and teams to making a little money with daily fantasy. Yes, it's not just NFL based. We've got daily fantasy available for you as well here in the XFL. FanDuel's got you covered. A huge $300,000 fantasy football contest to launch the season here. Costs just $9 to play. And of course, we will tell you the best guys to plug into your lineup. And for that, I always turn to our DFS expert, JJ Zacharyson, giving me one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver to have in your lineup here as the XFL kicks off on Saturday. What you got, JJ?
Yeah, so at quarterback, I really like Philip Walker. He's going to be the starter for Houston. Houston's head coach, June Jones, he had a couple stints at college at SMU and at Hawaii. And at those 2 stops, he was very pass-friendly, pass-heavy. That really plays into Philip Walker's favor. Not only that, Walker has one of the better pass catchers in the XFL in Sammy Coates. So he's the 3rd most expensive quarterback on a 2-game slate. That automatically makes him a decent value. My number 1 value running back, though, Elijah Hood. He's actually expensive. He's the most expensive running back on this slate. But given the ambiguity of what we know with these players and how they're going to be used, the pricing is pretty flat overall across the league, which means that you can fit in Elijah Hood into your lineup. LA used a 1st-round pick on him in the skill position draft. He's a 7th rounder at the NFL level, bigger bodied guy. He can handle a big workload, and it seems like LA is going to want to give him that big workload. So I like him, and I think that you should be able to fit him into your lineup. My number one value wide receiver, though, Rashad Ross. He's actually not even the most expensive wide receiver on his own team for this Saturday's slate because he's not the number one wide receiver on his depth chart. But even still, he's a really good wide receiver. He's a really good player. He was the best wide receiver in the AAF. Pro Football Focus actually graded him as the best wide receiver in that league last year. And he's a speedy guy. So in a week where we don't know exactly how volume is going to be distributed, you really want to get these guys who can make splash plays and make big plays, because if volume doesn't go their way, they can still pay off. And that's exactly what you get with Rashad Ross.
No doubt about it, and that's a value you're always looking for. Thank you, JJ, and thank you for joining us here for our special XFL show. Now, you guys use that information. Sign up for the huge $300,000 XFL fantasy football contest. It's going on right now. FanDuel.com, $100,000, by the way, going to first place. Go to FanDuel.com or download the app to play. And hey, more good news. I'm just saying, we're just getting started. We're going to break down everything you need to know as XFL games kick off this weekend. Coming up next, there are rules that you want to follow. These are the ones that you want to follow because they are why the XFL says they're changing the way football is played for the better. We've got overtime shootouts. Yes, please. Plus, 4 teams kicking off on Sunday. We got to get to that, the biggest names to follow and which side our experts are taking as well. That's all ahead. And the Pro Football Doc himself, Dr. Chow, joining us to tell us about the injuries that could impact teams here on opening weekend, including one team kicking off week 1 without their starting quarterback. You're watching FanDuel's XFL preview show. Thanks for hanging with us, and we're going to see you right back here in 2 minutes. Do it. Do your thing.
Do you want to bet the next race and don't have a TVG account? Get the TVG mobile app and sign up. It's fun, easy, and it's TVG. I'll show you how it works. When you bet the horse that wins, you win money too. With the TVG app, select your horse, bet type, and wager amount. Place your bet and watch the race live. Download the app and sign up now, or go to TVG.com. Join now and get a risk-free bet up to $200. TVG, your best bet.
Real players, real stories.
First, I saw the commercial, then my friend recommended Betfair, and I signed up that day.
On Betfair Casino, you can play your favorite casino games anywhere in New Jersey, including blackjack, roulette, slots, and more.
It's just so much fun.
When I play online, I prefer Betfair.
No long drives to the casino. No hassle.
If you're still driving to the casinos, save the gas and tolls. Put that money in your pocket.
Joining is easy. Go to betfaircasino.com or download the app and sign up today.
I saw the commercial on TV, downloaded the app, and within minutes I was playing.
And now, when you join, you can play your first day risk-free up to $200.
You sign up, you play your first day risk-free. How great is that?
I've played those other online casinos, but for me, Betfair is the best.
I wish I signed up earlier. It's just so much fun.
Join the fun today at Betfair Casino.
10 seconds left. John, more ways to inbound.
Yo, you checked FanDuel lately?
Sammy Wynn behind home plate. 1 out to go.
More ways and Wynn looking to make something here. Pull up jumper.
More ways throws.
Wynn shoots. It's up.
There's just
more ways to win. More ways to win.
That's what I'm telling you. There are more ways to win with FanDuel.
Official partner of the NBA.
I think the XFL ball gets a big pass. By the way, I hit some bombs with it as well.
No lie, saw him do it, saw the video. Pat McAfee threw it 50 yards, dropped it into a trash can. Boom. He is a big fan of this uniquely different XFL game ball. So we're going to talk about it. Guys, this bad boy is built for better tracking of the ball in the air. The X on the ends, different texture as well. So I want to show it to you. Here, Doug, take a little close look here. This is X Pebble grip technology on the ball. It's what they're calling it, to help quarterbacks grip and throw the ball better, further, and more accurately as well. And again, the X technology, which you mentioned to me before, and it makes sense. It's easier for receivers to track in the air as well. What do you guys think about the ball?
And that's the Guardians ball. So each team will have their own not logo, but their color scheme that their receivers will get used to what that looks like. And the one thing we know, this ball will not be touching the foot very often. This is going to be in the air most of the game.
Yep.
You know, we're going to talk about Tampa Bay in just a moment here, but their quarterback, Aaron Murray, he was quick to say that he loves this texture on the ball. He said it felt better on his hands, and like we said, he said he felt better about throwing it. So if you have the X technology for the receivers, you have the texture on here that the quarterback's like, that's going to equate to a lot more scoring.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Dave just touched on it. Another big difference from the NFL to the XFL. Again, the game balls are customized for each team, meaning each team will use their own personalized game ball on offense, featuring their team's custom color and their color scheme as well. I think it's pretty sweet. All right, let's move on because, of course, football is just one of the differentiators for the XFL. As we've seen, the rules have been designed to enhance the game. Danny's back with a few more rule innovations, and this next one is absolutely awesome, Danny. For any football fan out there, tell us how overtime is going to be different here in the XFL.
Yeah, I think every football fan has complained about the ties that we've been seeing in the NFL. That will not be the case for the XFL. No ties, no one possession overtime. XFL overtime is a shootout. Each offense gets 5 one-possessions to score from the 5-yard line. Teams get 2 points for each successful conversion, and teams alternate plays until one team is mathematically eliminated. Defense cannot score here. If it's still tied after 5 rounds, it will go to single rounds. First team to score when the other one doesn't wins.
Okay, now, no one possession wins. Are you listening, NFL? This drives me crazy. I've tweeted about it. I put it out on social media. Guys, this one is huge for me. It's a shootout format, just like the NHL. How do you guys see this innovation really impacting the games as we get going?
Well, it's definitely going to add some drama. It's definitely going to add a ton of excitement. Yeah, if you go back to the NHL and their use of the shootout, that's some of the best moments if you can make it all the way to the end of the game. And then if you go all the way back, and I might be dating myself a little bit here, but into the 80s and early 90s, it was the Major Indoor Soccer League, and that was part of their drama that they were able to build, was going into the shootout. And I love that you're going to alternate each of the offenses getting an opportunity, because you will have, say, 3 out of 5 made by both of the teams, Dave, and then all of a sudden it turns into whichever team can do it in that final round will walk off with the victory.
And let me take it back to betting one more time. Let's say you played the total over 62 points and they get to overtime and it's 24-24. In the NFL, you're dead. You know, you're going to get either a field goal or a touchdown, game's over. In this particular format, you can root for there to be back and forth, 2, and continue to amass points until you might be able to hit a miracle over. So as a bettor, it does add a little bit more intrigue to see what's going to happen in overtime.
I love it. No coin toss, no ties, no defensive scores. It's absolutely a shootout with each offensive score in overtime counting as 2 points. You heard it from Danny. That's what the XFL is pushing, pace and scoring. And that absolutely leads us to our next XFL rule, because coaches are feeling the pressure, Danny, to pass on the punt and go for it on 4th down. The new punting rules skew heavily in favor of the receiving team, which means, as Dave talked about and has praised, less punting, right, Danny?
Yeah, exactly, Lisa. Who doesn't love watching coaches go for it on 4th down? Well, this rule in the XFL will persuade coaches to go for it more often than not. If the punt goes into the end zone, the other team will get the ball at their own 35-yard line. Punts that land out of bounds will also be placed at the 35 or wherever the ball goes out of bounds. So if your punter shanks a kick and it goes out of bounds at the 50, the other team will get the ball at midfield. The punt team also cannot cross the line of scrimmage until after the ball is kicked, making it less likely to call for a fair catch.
Awesome. Great perspective, Danny. Thank you for taking us into that. You heard it. Coaches are going to think twice before punting on 4th down. Ed, coming right to you here. If more teams are going for it on 4th down, how's that going to impact the games from an analytics perspective?
Well, first off, as the obnoxious sports analytics specialist over here, the math says you should almost always go for it on 4th down and 4 or shorter. If you're in opponent's territory, you should almost always go for it on 4th down and 5, 4th down and 6. And that's with NFL rules. Now, with XFL rules, you should be able to see a good bit more aggression. We don't see it in the NFL. We should see it a good bit more. And I also wouldn't be surprised, once offenses are more sophisticated, that this might phase out punts almost completely context independent.
Okay, awesome. I know you have got something on this rule.
Well, I think Ed makes a good point about phasing out punters, but this also could mean you really need a solid punter that's very accurate, because you're going to have to pick and choose your moments when you are going to punt. But if you get a guy that has that little sand wedge or little check on it where he can put it right around the 10-yard line, you're going to be able to flip field position in a hurry in these games.
Okay, let's keep moving on here because the XFL has 5 common sense rules in their book. It's number 1 is 1 foot inbounds. This one is taken straight from the college game. For it to be ruled a catch, the player has to have control of the live ball with 1 foot inbounds for it to count. Catches in the NFL often up to debate, right, guys? Because of timing, control of football, what we're seeing. There's so many reviews. The XFL has simplified this for officials to determine when a catch is made and how to call it. I talked to Commissioner Luck in depth about this rule. Here's what he had to say about 1 foot inbounds.
We have, as you mentioned, the 1 foot in bounds rule, just like the colleges, and Dean indicated that referees may find that a much easier call to make. So you're right, fewer replays. But what was also interesting, players told us that they think 1 foot in bounds is safer.
No doubt about it, and they've put a lot of thought into that. And he referenced Dean, that's Dean Blandino, who is now the head of officiating here in the XFL. Got to have 2 feet in bounds for it to be ruled as a catch. This rule simplifies that and makes the game safer, too. You heard him say it, 1 foot down, it's a catch. Mark, what are your thoughts on this rule straight out of the college game?
Well, doing a little investigating on this rule, I wrote down a quote from a wide receiver in the league that really stuck out to me, and he said, "Receivers make catches with their hands, not with their feet." I wish the NFL would immediately adopt this rule, because if you can get 1 foot in bounds, to me, it's more about where you're catching the ball. Do you have possession of the ball when you get that foot down? So for me, I look at this rule here, and I think this is a great rule change. I think fans are going to love it, and the big reason is you are going to see some dramatic catches made in this game for guys making athletic plays, getting their hands on the ball, but just tapping that one toe in before they go out of bounds.
In every rule that we've seen, for the most part, encourages more scoring. How does this impact scoring? Let's say you're inside the red zone. Now when you make a throw into the corner of the end zone, you can go a lot deeper into those pockets of the end zone, knowing that your receiver is not going to need to drag 2 feet. You could literally hit that 1 inch line of the end zone, 1 foot in. That's going to create more touchdowns and more scoring overall.
No doubt about it. We covered 5 of the biggest rules here. There's about a dozen that are really relevant to what you're going to see here in the XFL, and you can find the complete list of those rules at xfl.com/rules. And you definitely want to keep all of these awesome game innovations in mind as we move now to Sunday's XFL action. 2 games on the slate here. The early kickoff takes us to the Meadowlands. The New York Guardians hosting the Tampa Bay Vipers at MetLife Stadium. This one 2 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. So let's talk Vipers first here, led by head coach Mark Trestman, an offensive-minded coach who was an OC for 6 different NFL teams, as well as a former NFL and CFL head coach, where he won 3 Grey Cups. Trestman's starting quarterback, former Georgia Bulldog and 4-year NFL veteran Aaron Murray. I'll have more on him in just a second. Murray will be tossing the ball to Jalen Tolliver. Saw some playing time with the Arizona Cardinals. Dana Williams stood out in the Vipers scrimmage, and a familiar name to NFL fans here, former Cleveland Brown Antonio Callaway. And then you've got a former Florida Gator running back Mac Brown in the backfield, and former Minnesota Viking Nick Truesdale starting at tight end. He'll be clutch in fantasy, absolutely huge. Now, I will mention Antonio Callaway begins the season on IR. We'll have more on that as the season unfolds. But the Vipers are starting on the road to open their season at MetLife Stadium, home of the New York Guardians, led by one of the best quarterbacks in the XFL, former Penn State star who played 4 seasons with the Raiders. We've got Matt McGloin under center. He's got weapons, guys. Wide receivers, Mikael McKay, Joe Horn Jr., Colby Person. NFL fans will recognize Joe Horn Jr.'s name here. He's the son of 4-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Joe Horn. Surprise, surprise. In fact, the Guardians should have one of the league's most potent offenses here. This unit led by their head coach and former New York Giants offensive coordinator, and Kevin Gilbride, won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, spent 18 seasons as an NFL OC. And for more on the Guardians, let's turn it over and send it out to Jeff Maglicetti, who covers the team for Elite Sports New York.
With a name like Kevin Gilbride at the helm, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Guardians become one of the more offensive-minded teams in the XFL. That all starts at the quarterback position, where the Guardians boast the talents of Matt McGloin. He departed Penn State as the all-time leader in touchdown passes and later went on to have a career as a backup in the NFL, mostly with the Oakland Raiders. Combine that with an experienced coaching staff on both sides of the ball, as well as a talented arsenal of receivers plucked from the NFL, the Arena League, the AAF, and others, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Guardians contend for a playoff spot come April.
All right, and this is the first of the XFL Sunday doubleheader kicking off again on Fox, 2 p.m. Eastern time. The Guardians and Vipers met in the league's final scrimmage here. Guardians winning that one 27-15. McGloin threw for 3 touchdowns, including a 76-yard bomb to Colby Person. Guys, let's break this thing down. And Dave, when you see these teams meet here on Sunday, what are your expectations here for this first matchup?
I like New York, and this is MetLife. You know, some of these teams are playing in soccer stadiums, baseball stadiums. This is the greatest stadium in all of the XFL, and I think Tampa Bay, quite frankly, is going to be overwhelmed going in there. Mikhail McKay, keep an eye on this receiver out of the University of Cincinnati. 3 years there, 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. He has a knack for finding the end zone. McGloin is going to find him often. I do not like Tampa Bay in this spot, Mark.
Dave, you know I love you and I love your analysis, but I could not disagree with you more in this one. For me, I look at this Tampa Bay team, and I know New York is picked to finish higher, and as we just heard from the reporter there, to be a team that can challenge for the title. But for me, this Tampa Bay team is the sleeper team of the league here in year one. I say that because it starts with Mark Trestman at the top. He's got a great mind. He has the ability to win. We've already seen that in his coaching resume. But then you go to Aaron Murray. The guy was a stud at Georgia. He's had some experience playing in some other leagues, preseason, yes, I know, with the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL, but he's taken snaps in pressure situations. He's going to lead this team, in my opinion. The loss of Callaway does hurt, but you heard Lisa talk about the tight end, Nick Truesdell. They're saying he is a stud and probably could be the best tight end in the XFL this season. So I'm on the Vipers here.
All right, guys, I love that you disagree. I love it. All right, let's take a closer look at one of the biggest names in the game here. I mentioned him earlier, Aaron Murray. Record-breaking years with the University of Georgia. Still the SEC's all-time leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns, by the way. Got to get to Danny here to learn more about Aaron Murray and what those college stats can tell us about his projected numbers with the season starting here with the Vipers.
Yeah, Murray didn't take a snap in the NFL, so why are Vipers fans excited to have Murray under center? It was indeed his career at University of Georgia. Like Rogo just said, he was a stud. He still holds the SEC record for touchdown and passes and passing yards. He graduated all the way back in 2013. And as a dog, Murray completed 62% of his passes and had a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Surely Vipers fans and coaches are hoping to see that version of Aaron Murray when they take the field on Sunday.
Moving on to the late game now when the Dallas Renegades host the St. Louis Battlehawks. This game going down at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Kickoff set for 5 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Professional football, guys, is back in St. Louis. Let's talk Battlehawks first here. They have a crowded and experienced quarterback room, which includes dual threat quarterback Nick Fitzgerald and starting quarterback Jordan Ta'amu, who threw nearly 4,000 yards in his senior year at Ole Miss. Battlehawks head coach, former NFL tight end, and Jonathan Hayes. Hayes trying to bring a football championship back to St. Louis. For more on the Battlehawks outlook this season, once again, we turn back to Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub.
So the Battlehawks have a brand new head coach, never coached before, and Jonathan Hayes. He was the former tight ends coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. Their offensive coordinator situation is a little mixed up because first they had Doug Meacham. Then he decided to take a job back in college ranks, and they had to bring in Chuck Long just before training camp had to start. So I'm a little worried about their offense. Jordan Ta'amu is a young quarterback, probably the youngest in the league, one of the youngest guys in the league. They have veteran running backs with Kristen Michael and Matt Jones, names that you heard before. As far as wide receivers, names that we haven't really heard before either. So I'm thinking St. Louis might win 3 to 4 games.
Hey guys, the Battlehawks motto and hashtag cleared to engage. The first test is against this Dallas Renegades team that comes in with high expectations here. So let's look at that other side, starting with their head coach, the Bob Stoops, former head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, where he won a national championship and 10 Big 12 titles in 18 seasons. Now under center for the Renegades will be former Steelers quarterback Landry Jones, currently out with a knee injury. Dr. Chow's going to join us in just a moment for more on Jones. But In the meantime, former Eastern Carolina quarterback Philip Nelson will get the start until Landry is cleared to go. When you look at running back, the Renegades have one of the most explosive players in the XFL, Cameron Artis-Payne. Payne averaged more than 4 yards per carry in his 4 seasons with the Carolina Panthers. Other potential playmakers here include former Cowboys running back Lance Dunbar and former Oklahoma Sooner wide receiver Jeff Vedette. This is a rematch from their scrimmage less than 2 weeks ago. An OT thriller that tight end Cole Hunt called absolutely crazy. The Renegades won that one. They'll both be ready to do this thing for real Sunday night at Globe Light Park, again, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. So let's break this thing down. And Ed, I'm going to come to you first. When you look at these teams, who do you like when they meet on Sunday?
Well, let's first talk about an overall general football philosophy I have. Just because a team has to go to a backup quarterback doesn't mean the backup is a bum. Philip Nelson was in the middle of the pack of the AAF in terms of passing, but he didn't have that much play action. Now he's in a much better system with Bob Stoops as the head coach and Hal Mumme, the air raid maestro. Nelson, better situation, whereas at St. Louis, run by Jonathan Hayes, who worked for Stoops for that 2000 national championship team. Jordan Ta'amu is really more of a dual threat, someone I think can improve over time with his arm. It's just going to be a tough matchup for them. I like the Renegade.
So Champagne Times at quarterback, even though we're still waiting on Landry Jones to be cleared with that knee. What are your thoughts? Do you agree?
Well, there's a reason why this Dallas team is probably picked to be the front runner this first season in the XFL, and that's because it starts at the top with Bob Stoops. You read off the resume and what he did as an Oklahoma Sooners head coach. But if you're going to have a problem at quarterback and you don't have Landry Jones for maybe the first 2, even 3 weeks, and again, Dr. Chow will fill us more in on that, what do? You turn to the running game, and you look at the 2 studs that this Dallas team has in the backfield. You know about Cameron Artis-Payne and almost 5 seasons he had with the Carolina Panthers. But you mentioned the other name, and that's Lance Dunbar. The fact that he played with both the Rams and the Cowboys, speedy guy who knows how to keep control of the football. He's going to be cautious with the football. So you can lean on that run game early here, even though you don't have Landry Jones.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, Ed brought up the best name, and that is the offensive coordinator, Hal Mumme. This team is going to absolutely shred St. Louis to bits. You know what's going on right now in the Dome in St. Louis? A frickin' boat show, okay? They're having a boat show in St. Louis. Meanwhile, in Dallas, they're playing football, the home crowd. It's a rough start for St. Louis. They're on the road the first 2 weeks. They're going to lose to Dallas. They're going to lose next week to Houston as well. I'll give them a better look when they get back home and the boats are gone from their stadium. But right now, I'm all over Dallas.
So Dave, you're saying that St. Louis might get boat raced in this week 1?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Hey, we mentioned that the Renegades will most likely be without quarterback Landry Jones to start the season. But the question here is just how long will Jones be sidelined for that? And more on the biggest injuries we're following as the XFL kicks off. We turn to the expert. Dr. David Chow joining us from sunny Miami, Florida. Doctor, good to see you. He is the former head doctor for the Chargers. So Dr. Chow is in a unique position here to talk about some of the injuries we've seen during training camp that really could impact opening weekend and who we see out there, Doc. Let's start with Landry Jones, who injured his knee during training camp. He said, hey, I injured it on the first day. I haven't done much. How serious is this injury, and how long could we expect to see him sidelined?
Well, from a medical perspective, I think it's possible that he plays. He injured it on January 7th, and the first game's on February 9th. It was said to be a 4 to 6 week timeline. He's got a brace on his left knee. It's his lead leg, so it's not his power leg. I think it's possible that he could play, but part of what plays into this with a new league and new scheme and everything else is he may not have had enough practice time to be effective. So that may play into this as much as the injury itself. I don't think it's a long-term injury, most likely an MCL sprain. But, of course, there's no video from any practice injuries.
Dr. Chow, always great to have you with us, even from sunny Miami, Florida. For all of you watching, make sure to check out ProFootballDoc.com for a bunch more great information here. Remember to follow him on Twitter at ProFootballDoc for more injury information as well. Thank you as always, Doc. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Great information as well. Landry Jones, one of the big names in the XFL. Lots more to come on him. Hey, lots more to come on this show. If you have one XFL bet to place this weekend, then you need to know where our experts are putting their money. Our best bet segment is coming up. And hey, it's a 79-day sprint from start to finish. We're predicting your XFL champion ahead. This is FanDuel. We'll see you right back here in 2 minutes.
Do you Want to bet the next race and don't have a TVG account? Get the TVG mobile app and sign up. It's fun, easy, and it's TVG. I'll show you how it works. When you bet the horse that wins, you win money too. With the TVG app, select your horse, bet type, and wager amount. Place your bet and watch the race live. Download the app and sign up now, or go to TVG.com.
Join now and get a risk-free bet up to $200. TVG, your best bet.
Real players, real stories.
First, I saw the commercial, then my friend recommended Betfair, and I signed up that day.
On Betfair Casino, you can play your favorite casino games anywhere in New Jersey, including blackjack, roulette, slots, and more.
It's just so much fun.
When I play online, I prefer Betfair.
No long drives to the casino. No hassle.
If you're still driving to the casinos, save the gas and tolls. Put that money in your pocket.
Joining is easy. Go to betfaircasino.com or download the app and sign up today.
I saw the commercial on TV, downloaded the app, and within minutes I was playing.
And now, when you join, you can play your first day risk-free up to $200.
You sign up, you play your first day risk-free. How great is that?
I've played those other online casinos, but for me, Betfair is the best.
I wish I signed up earlier. It's just so much fun.
Join the fun today at Betfair Casino.
10 seconds left. John, more ways to inbound.
Yo, you checked FanDuel lately?
Sammy Wynn behind home plate. 1 out to go.
More ways and Wynn looking to make something here. Pull up jumper.
More ways throws.
Wynn shoots. It's up.
There's just
more ways to win. More ways to win.
That's what I'm telling you. There are more ways to win with FanDuel.
Official partner of the NBA.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching at FanDuel's XFL preview show. 8 teams, 10 regular season games, 79 days from start to finish. The sprint to the championship begins Saturday. And throughout this show, we've introduced each team. We previewed each week 1 matchup. If you missed any of it, we've got you. We've got time now to rip through all of our guys' picks. Again, this is rapid fire style in a segment we like to call Peer Pressure. Let's start with the first game of the weekend, guys. Seattle Dragons at the DC Defenders. Dave, you're up first. You give me your pick. Rest of you guys are going to tell me if you're tailing or fading his pick and why. Go ahead, Dave. Who you got?
DC and quarterback Cardale Jones, the most talented and deepest wide receiving core in the entire XFL. Way too much for Seattle to handle. Give me DC.
I am tailing you for sure here in this one, Dave. They're playing at home at Audi Field. It's a Cardale Jones showcase for the opening game of the XFL.
How about a clean sweep to get things started? Cardale Jones is my 3rd best starting quarterback in the XFL, and he's throwing to Rashad Ross, who could be the best receiver in the XFL. DC wins.
Okay, to the Saturday night game, guys. Let's move on. Josh Johnson and the LA Wildcats on the road at the Roughnecks in Houston. Kickoff 5 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. Mark, this game is all you. Who you rolling with?
I'm going with the home team again here. I like Houston. June Jones is back in the professional coaching ranks. He's going to put that offense on display. Take the Roughnecks.
I'm going to tell you on this one, wide receiver Sammy Coates, 312 yards and 5 touchdowns to set the stage for week 1 of the XFL.
I'm going to fade you, Mark. I'm going with Los Angeles here. Wildcats head coach Winston Moss won a national championship as a player and a Super Bowl as an assistant. Even as an analytics guy, I think that matters.
All right, let's move on. Let's get to the Meadowlands, where the New York Guardians are set to host the Tampa Bay Vipers. Dave, I'm going back to you for this one. Who wins it?
Big stage here, playing at MetLife. I'm going NYG. That's not the New York Giants who play there during the NFL, but the New York Guardians. Way too much for Tampa this week.
I'm high on the Vipers. I'm fading you here, Dave. Remember these 2 names, Aaron Murray, the quarterback, Nick Truesdell, the tight end. He'll catch a lot of passes over the middle. It's the only road team that wins in the opening week of the XFL.
I am tailing you, Dave. I think the Vipers are going to be great the rest of the year. You're just going to get off to a slow start in New York.
Okay, and wrapping up the weekend, the Dallas Renegades hosting the St. Louis Battlehawks. This one's Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Ed, you're in Dallas, so you're up first. How do you feel about that home team?
Well, Bob Stoops has made it work with just about any quarterback he has ever had at Oklahoma. I think it will translate in the XFL. Give me those Renegades.
I'm going to tell you, they are going to blow St. Louis out of the water, 56-20 Dallas.
I will tell you as well, Ed, this is the biggest mismatch of the opening weekend here in the XFL. It's going to be a big win, and Dallas fans are going to be happy to see professional football at this time of year down in Big D.
There it is, our picks, rapid fire style here. We are officially now 11 weeks away from crowning a champion. Sunday, April 26th, the winner of the East will face the winner of the West in the XFL championship game. But, hey, the future is now, because here at FanDuel, we have the odds for who will win that XFL championship. Here they are in front of you. The Dallas Renegades are currently the favorites to raise that championship trophy. They're sitting there at plus 300. With the New York Guardians, Los Angeles Wildcats not too far behind there. Then the odds for the other teams on the screen as well. So let's get around the horn here, get one more time everybody's pick. Ed, I'm coming back to you here first. Who's winning the XFL championship in April?
At some point, Landry Jones will return to the Dallas Renegades. And if I recall correctly, I do believe that he and Bob Stoops had some magic at Oklahoma as one of the better offenses in all of college football. Add to that Howell Mummy, and that offense will be dynamite. And also don't sleep on the second running back, Lance Dunbar. He was versatile with the Dallas Cowboys, and I feel like Stoops will do some creative things with him as well. I like the Renegades to win it all.
I'm going to go with an underdog here, and that is the Houston Roughnecks. One of the bigger prices here at plus 900. I think they get off to a hot start, win their first two games, and we'll see if June Jones can take them the rest of the way. Their defense is going to be focused on making some turnovers, getting field position. They have a very good offensive structure. Give me Houston.
I'm going to middle both of you guys right here. Ed, you went with kind of a chalky pick as one of the front runners. Dave, maybe a little bit of a stretch there. I'm going to go right in the middle at plus 500 with the Vipers. I told you, I think they're one of the sleeper teams of this league. They've got great skill positions, the running back, the wide receiver, Sammy Coates. And then, of course, I'm very high on Aaron Murray and what he can do with this Vipers team. Give me Tampa Bay.
Awesome stuff, guys. We have just enough time for one more ride with our gambling experts here. Time now for Don't Suck. Rules are simple. You guys give us your best bet of the weekend and make sure it just doesn't suck. All right, let's do this. Dave, you're up first. Don't suck. Give your bettors your best wager here on XFL weekend.
Oh, it is a team that will not suck offensively. That's the Dallas Renegades. They are going to win by a huge margin. The question is how much they're going to crush St. Louis.
Well, that's one of the games that is certainly a mismatch in this opening weekend. I think the other one is Seattle at D.C. D.C. has a ton more talent, especially on paper. I think that will translate out into the field. When they played in the scrimmage a little less than 2 weeks ago, D.C. got them there as well. Take the Defenders.
I think it's too easy to take the money line with Dallas, so I'm going to parlay that with another money line. And why not stick in the state of Texas? I really like Los Angeles, the road team, over Houston. So I'm going to parlay that money line with the money line for Dallas.
Yes, the XFL is here. 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Meaningful, exciting, hard-nosed football, guys, through April. We could not be more thrilled to be along for the ride. From XFL intros to best bets to game picks, we covered everything you need to be ready here for week 1. You can place your bets right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Welcome to the team. You want a free $25 bet? We got you. Use the promo code MOREWAYS25. Thanks for hanging with us. Enjoy XFL opening weekend, and good luck with your bets. Yes. Oh.
Never miss a moment of the action with the brand new WatchTVG app, available in high definition on Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Roku. Finally, you can enjoy your favorite racing from the best tracks in the U.S. and across the globe without a cable subscription. And better yet, we'll bring you exclusive content, expert handicapping, and the latest news from the racing world 24 hours a day. Download the WatchTVG app now. TVG, your best bet.
Real players, real stories.
First, I saw the commercial, then my friend recommended Betfair, and I signed up that day.
On Betfair Casino, you can play your favorite casino games anywhere in New Jersey, including blackjack, roulette, slots, and more.
It's just so much fun.
When I play online, I prefer Betfair.
No long drives to the casino. No hassle.
If you're still driving to the casinos, save the gas and tolls. Put that money in your pocket.
Joining is easy. Go to betfaircasino.com or download the app and sign up today.
I saw the commercial on TV, downloaded the app, and within minutes I was playing.
And now, when you join, you can play your first day risk-free up to $200.
You sign up, You play your first day risk-free. How great is that?
I've played those other online casinos, but for me, Betfair is the best.
I wish I signed up earlier. It's just so much fun.
Join the fun today at Betfair Casino.
Do you want to bet the next race and don't have a TVG account? Get the TVG mobile app and sign up. It's fun, easy, and it's TVG. I'll show you how it works. When you bet the horse that wins, you win money too. With the TVG app, select your horse, bet type, and wager amount. Place your bet and watch the race live. Download the app and sign up now, or go to TVG.com.
Join now and get a risk-free bet up to $200. TVG, your best